Hey guys, Care here, and this time, as you can see by the title, this is kind of like a why you should read, similar to how I did the One Piece one. Also, before I keep talking, I'm kind of recording this after the video because I forgot, but 55% of you aren't subscribed, so if you like the videos and you frequently watch them, why not subscribe? Helps the channel a lot. And I also have a video plan, probably my favorite video I've made so far, for 100 subscribers, which I'm not releasing yet because 100 subscribers, I want to have it there. I do have other things planned for 100 subs, but I want to, get there first. So yeah, if you like the videos, just, subscribe. It's not that hard and it helps a lot the channel and I appreciate it a lot. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna just let you get back to the video. Instead of how I normally do reviews, where it's like, story and characters and everything else, this time I'm just gonna talk about like my favorite things in general, and some things you might not like, mainly because this isn't really a review and this is more like me talking about why you should read it. But yeah, pretty simple. Also, this is like my second time recording this because the first time I recorded the whole video, I edited it, and then I kind of just didn't like how I said some things. Like there were some things I could have changed. So I'm just doing this again. I'll just probably leave the same editing. I'll decide later. But yeah, pretty simple. Just get straight into it. So the first thing I really loved about Dr. Stone, probably my favorite part about it, is like the concept or the plot, whatever you want to call it. It's honestly very interesting. It's basically a mix between yes, they're like 3,000 years into the future, but it's also like a caveman setting. In case you don't know anything about Dr. Stone, humanity is all fine and dandy, and then this wave that just like comes and just petrifies everyone for I think around like 3,000 years. I don't really know. They stayed in the first episode. I forgot. And then yeah, one kid, Senku, protagonist, he somehow revives himself back. It's not really something dumb. I just forgot how it happened. And then yeah, he's a really smart, genius scientist. So he tries to like bring back humanity to how it was, and it's really there's more stuff that happens, but really anything else I say is a spoiler. And he just wants to depetrify everybody. And then now we're on like almost 200 chapters, I think. And yeah, it's pretty very fun concept. It isn't really been broken yet. If anything, it's been expanded on, right? Like what caused the petrification, how it happened, what its effects are, what some bonuses of it are. Everything about the concept has been done perfectly. There really hasn't been anything that's like, oh, they say this in the beginning and then it's like the complete opposite later on. It's very consistent in that aspect. And the concept, again, one of my favorites in anime and manga, just the way they handle it is great. Another thing I really loved is, first of all, obviously the art. Boichi's one of my favorite artists in manga, period. Just the way he draws characters and facial expressions. Dr. Stone's an exception. I kind of don't like how he does it. The eyes are very far apart. It's worse in the anime, but in the manga it's not as bad. You don't really notice it. But like for example, if you look at his anatomy in other series like Dr. Stone, not Dr. Stone, Sunken Rock and Origin, and the Ace side story he wrote, you'll see the anatomy is very detailed, very good. Some of them, right, some pictures, you'll look at them and they look like actual pictures instead of manga panels, which is honestly outstanding, right? I personally like his art more than Miura's or more than Inoue's. You could like the other ones more, and I understand that. It's just personally, his is more my style, his art style and everything. Another thing I really liked about the series, obviously, is the characters. I don't think there's been a single series that I actually enjoyed where I didn't like the characters. And Dr. Stone is no exception. I would say his name, but that's a spoiler. But the main antagonist for the first half of the series so far is great. I like his philosophy on like what the past was, like human past. His whole group was great. Senku's great. Like a lot of the side characters are good. Near the beginning though, I definitely say like the side characters aren't the best, right? Kind of Senku, and even then, Senku isn't even as good of a protagonist in my opinion. I still enjoy him. I still enjoy the side characters. It's just that none of them are like either very interesting. You don't really want to know too much about them, or they don't even have that many special moments. Later on, though, characters like Chrome, Tsukasa, Hyoga, and other characters are introduced, and they all really just like push the cast to even further. Before that, there really wasn't really much. I know there's this is kind of off topic, but I know there's a not reboot. It's a side story, but with Senku's dad. I don't know. I haven't read it, but I've heard only good things about it. So, if you like the series, I recommend you read that. I'll probably read it one of these days. Maybe I'll post a video about that. I'm not sure. But yeah, cast is great. Story, also story. It has so many twists and turns, so many mysteries that you just never expect. For example, Medusas. I'm not gonna say any details about them because any detail is a spoiler. But like how Medusas work, how they're made, what they do, everything is great. How the petrification happened, all of that. Also like obvious. This, I don't even know if this is considered mystery, but like how Senku's gonna beat a certain character, or this and that, and a lot of stuff is also like there's a lot of like callbacks to earlier arcs. So I love that about the series. The Y Man is also something very interesting on how he's. I'm not gonna say where he is, but it's also a spoiler. Yeah, I love that part of the series. The fights. The series doesn't really have physical fights like My Hero type of fights or stuff like that. If there are, I mean, they does have those kind of fights eventually, but most of the quote unquote fights they have are like mental fights, right? Trying to outsmart the other. The tension in the series is done greatly. I feel like it's always tense. You never know who's gonna die. You never know who's gonna survive. It's not one of those series where like a million people die. It's just that there's always like that what if, Like for example, My Hero, almost no one's gonna die, but like on the occasion that someone does die, it's a lot more, I guess, like surprising. And even then, like even if no one dies in this series, there's always that what if they die, And this series does it greatly. I already said this, but the art looks phenomenal, as you can probably see by the panels I'm putting up on screen. But yeah, great story, great art. Another thing I really like, the way it portrays science. Now I know that's kind of weird, but this also has to do kind of with the concept. Like I know there's like sci-fi, right, which has a lot to do with science and stuff. But from what I've seen, no sci-fi series, period, handles science quite like Dr. Stone. And let me put some like emphasis on this. You know how like most sci-fi series they'll have like super smart scientist does like, and then they like say a bunch of scientific words no one understands, and then they have this really creative or new technology. By the way, I'm not dissing like sci-fi series. I'm just saying what can generally happen. Anyway, you know how like they have like the super technologically advanced machine now without like much explanation. Dr. Stone's completely opposite. Dr. Stone, they have this obviously since they're in the caveman, they have to have like the basic things, right? Like first they gotta build a house, and they gotta build some way to have energy, right? And that's like after 10, 20 episodes. Well, Dr. Stone, they have like the very slow-paced version. It's not a slow-paced series, right? But it's like a lot of the arcs aren't. Well, some of the arcs are, them trying to get to a certain technological advancement, or like if they want to build a rocket, they haven't done that. But if they want to build a rocket, for example, they'll put out a roadmap, and then they'll like complete each step in the roadmap to do the rocket. On some of the smaller ones, right, like certain experiments, they'll even have like a robot version of Senku. Obviously, it's not gonna like show up and interact with people, but like kind of like an extra character, and he'll like explain to you how to do that in person, and like some risk and stuff about it, which is also very cool. If you were to like show this series to kids, they probably love science. Kind of like how Food Wars can make people love just cooking and food in general, just because of how fun they make it look. Dr. Stone has the same effect, if not a very similar one, which is something I really like about the series. I think the only complaint I can have is that the pacing is inconsistent. What I mean by inconsistent is that some chapters are perfectly paced, like the last 5, but then some other chapters, or like I guess like a span of 1 to 2 chapters, can feel very like fast, like too fast, like rushing it kind of, which happened like I forgot when it was, but it was in the last 10 chapters. It was like a span of 2 chapters that felt super rushed. I don't know if it's 10 chapters or more. And then some chapters can feel very slow. Like I understand a lot of series are gonna have slower time, but Dr. Stone's is just like one chapter super fast paced, another chapter slower paced, and it's not like I'm not trying to say it's a good fast pace. It's like a bit too fast paced. Like they're rushing that chapter for some random reason. It feels rushed, and then other chapters feel dragged out. Right, and that happens to any series. That's not really like a super bad problem that Dr. Stone has. It's just like the only complaint that can come to mind. Now, is it a series that everyone's gonna like? No. Why? Because, for example, a lot of people like a more, romantic series or a more action series. And this series first of all, doesn't have a lot of romance. Second of all, doesn't have a lot of action when it comes to like hand-to-hand and kind of stuff like that. It's psychological action, I guess would be the better word. I just like the series because I like how like the progress you feel from them completing certain scientific, I guess, advancements, right? And just it's a great feel good story with, some sad moments. None of them are like super sad or anything like that, but there's still sad moments. You see some characters learn about science, like I don't want to spoil too much, but this is like in the first 5 chapters, not that bad. Senku meets these villagers that, for reasons I shan't not explain, they weren't petrified or they aren't petrified. And then, as time goes on, they start to learn about science because, they're like people from like older times, right? They don't know what science is. So like, for example, one of them calls himself a sorcerer. Why? Because he can do like a very simple scientific experiment. What is that? He gets fire and he changes the color. And then all of a sudden that's sorcery, right? Because they don't know what science is. They were never introduced to it. And no one ever told them what science is. So, they're going to obviously have mixed feelings about Senku joining and all that. But yeah, aside from that though, this series is great. It doesn't have too many flaws personally. It can feel boring for some people and I understand that. But other times, like for example, the last few chapters have been phenomenal. And it's a great weekly series to get into, It's maybe top 5. I'd have to think about it when it comes to like top 5 new gens. But yeah, it's basically it for the video. Basically what I want to say with this video is you should watch Dr. Stone or read it. I think the anime ends around like chapter 52. And that's where season 1 ends. I'm not sure about where season 2 ends. But yeah, if you liked the video, let me know what you thought down below. Maybe like, comment, subscribe, and peace.